Okay, so I know you guys are super excited to almost be back in school. Today, I just want to focus on the themes of the Kite Runner. It's not going to be a super long lesson. It's going to just kind of give an overview to help you pick some stuff for your final essay or your final project. Okay, so the first theme we're going to talk about, and I don't think any of you are going to be surprised because it's kind of what I've been focusing on, but the first theme is going to be discrimination. And so obviously the big one that we see is the ethnic discrimination between the Pashtuns and the Hazaras. And we can see it not only in obvious characters like Asef and the Taliban, but we can also even see it in the characters we like, such as Baba and Amir. I know a lot of you probably have issues with Amir. We're going to talk about this and you're going to get all your feelings out. And I know a lot of students have hated Amir before, but also I want you guys to keep in mind that he is only a child when most of this stuff happens. So I want you to keep that in mind. But anyway, discrimination. So I want you guys, if you're thinking about doing the theme of discrimination, to find a specific passage and do a close reading of it. So what you're looking for when you're doing a close reading is you want to read it more than once, and you want to pick up on the language. You want to see if the author is using particular language, maybe literary devices like metaphors or anything like that, or really maybe weird words or words you really like. And you also want to try and notice any patterns with the rest of the text. So I had it here and I just lost it. I'm going to pause this. I found it. Turn to page 76 and 77. It's at the bottom of 76. Asef waved a dismissive hand. Bakshida. Forgiven. It's done. His voice dropped a little. Of course, nothing is free in this world, and my pardon comes with a small price. That's fair, Kamala said. Nothing is free, Wali added. You're lucky, Hazara, Asef said, taking a step towards Hassan, because today it's only going to cost you that blue kite. Fair deal, boys, isn't it? More than fair, Kamal said. Even from where I was standing, I could see the fear creeping into Hassan's eyes, but he shook his head. Amir Aga won the tournament, and I ran this kite for him. I ran it fairly. This is his kite. A loyal Hazara, loyal as a dog, Asef said. Kamal's laugh was a shrill, nervous sound. But before you sacrifice yourself for him, think about this. Would he do the same for you? Have you ever wondered why he never includes you in games when he has guests? Why he only plays with you when no one else is around? I'll tell you why, Hazara. Because to him, you're nothing but an ugly pet. Something he can play with when he's bored. Something he can kick when he's angry. Don't ever fool yourself and think you're something more. Amir Aga and I are friends, Hassan said. He looked flushed. Friends? Asef said, laughing. You pathetic fool. Someday you'll wake up from your little fantasy and learn just how good friend he is. Now, Bas, enough of this. Give us the kite. Okay, did that passage bring up any feelings for you? Are you feeling angry? Are you feeling sad? Those feelings are probably going to help you to come to an opinion on your argument, and they're probably going to influence how you're going to write this paper. And also, I want you guys to notice what were the devices used. So I noticed some rhetorical questions, so that makes me want to look at those and consider those a bit further, because it's a bit repetitive. So the idea of the repeating patterns throughout the text, and this idea is something that Amir also repeats to himself, that he doesn't treat Hassan as well as Hassan treats him, because he doesn't really consider him a friend. And so I'm not going to go too deep into this close reading, but I just wanted to get you guys thinking about techniques that you can use for your close reading. Okay, and also I wanted to point out with that passage that discrimination is not just in the obvious cases with the SEF and the Taliban. Those are easy ones, and if you feel really strongly about those, you're welcome to write on them, but a more nuanced approach might be looking at the discrimination even in Baba's house and with Amir. So the characters we would normally see as good and probably people we might even be friends with in real life. Although I've heard that some people have some really strong feelings on Amir, so maybe not Amir. But Baba for sure, who seems like a good man, he's still part of this system and he still actively upholds the practice of discriminating against Hazaras, and therefore he maintains the status quo. Okay, so the next idea we're going to look at is sin and redemption. I know you guys aren't done the book yet, so I'm not going to give away any spoilers, but we know that Amir is living with this guilt of not having stood up for Hassan and not having told anyone about Hassan, and then also even really abusing Hassan after the fact. So this idea of, can Amir atone for his past actions, for his past wrongdoings? I want to put the question to you guys actually. Do you think there's anything that Amir can do to make this right, to atone for what he's done? Is there any possible way he could repay Hassan for the damage that he has done? Or do you think that no matter what, Amir is irredeemable and he's not the hero? He's not a good guy. And to get you guys thinking about parts of the book where sin and redemption are really focused on, I want to point out the quote that is always talked about. And the quote is, "It's wrong what they say about the past. I've learned about how you can bury it, because the past claws its way out." So the idea that you can't actually forget the past, that it's always with you, that it will always come back to haunt you essentially, and is that a valid reason for seeking atonement, for seeking redemption? Because of maybe the perception of other people or your own perception of yourself? Is that, again, I'm putting this question to you guys. You can write it in a response. You can write it in your paragraph maybe. We'll talk about this more when you come back, but do you think that righting your wrongs because of perception is a good enough reason to do it? Okay, we've only got a few more themes left. I didn't even ask you guys all the questions for the worksheet for the paragraph response, so feel free to write on a different theme if you have a different theme in mind. But the next one I want to look at is the fathers and sons relationship. Again, I know we haven't finished the novel, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I want you guys to be thinking about how Amir is constantly trying to win his father's love, and again thinking back to the idea of sin and redemption. Is it excusable what Amir did, considering what Baba is doing to Amir? If we can see Baba as withholding affection and clearly favoring Hassan in this weird family dynamic they have, can you understand from Amir's point of view why he would maybe sacrifice Hassan for his father's love? And I also want you guys to think about how important these relationships are to the characters, even though they're deeply flawed. And if you guys also have a personal experience that you want to write about, I'm also willing to let that be one of your paragraph responses, is kind of weaving your own personal narrative into the paragraph response. It's not, you still have to write on the book. You still have to pick a father-son relationship to write on, but I am open to your evidence being from your own personal life. Okay, I'm only going to talk about 2 more. I said I wasn't going to be a very long series, but maybe this is turning into a longer video than I thought it was going to be. But the next one is on masculinity and friendships. So I want us to specifically look at male friendships and male homosocial bonding. You guys don't have to know that term, but basically male homosocial bonding is when men bond with each other. So like same homosocial, meaning like same gender, socializing with each other, bonding with each other. And so the idea of what it means to be masculine, I want us to think about that, and how Amir is not considered masculine. Amir takes after his mother, and it's made very clear from the start that Baba doesn't really consider Amir as his son. He considers him more as his mother's child, because Baba cannot see any of himself in Amir. But that's more to do with the father-son relationships than the friendship. But the friendship we see between Amir and Hassan is not one of toxic masculinity, like we talked about before. It is, Amir definitely has toxic traits, and he maybe isn't the best friend, but the way that he reads to Hassan, and the way that he tells him stories, and the way that Hassan would do anything for Amir, those kinds of moments in the friendship are seen as inherently feminine, but they both identify as boys, so why should that be feminine? Again, if you want to write on that one, I'm super curious about how you guys perceive these, and I'm looking forward to reading them. Okay, this is the last one. This one is about theft, and about how Baba says that theft is the greatest sin of all. So I want you to think about how each other sin is a variation of theft, and then I want you to look at the instances of betrayal in the novel and what you've read so far, and then discuss how this could be a theft, and who is it stealing from, who and what is being stolen exactly. It's a bit of a tricky one, but I think it's also a really interesting one, and I'm excited to read your guys' responses. Please try and have them in a timely fashion so that I can read them all before I see you. Have a good weekend, guys. I will see you Monday. Get excited. I hope it's, yeah. Okay, and come prepared with lots of questions. Please, as soon as you have a question, write it down, because I want to talk about all your questions, and I want to see your guys' thinking process and what you're thinking about the novel. And if you have any quotes that you want to talk about, also remember the page number and write them down so that we can talk about them. I know you guys probably aren't thrilled to be talking about quotes, but I love doing it. yeah, that's it. Just keep reading, and that's the only homework. Oh, I guess the paragraph and reading. That's the homework. Okay. Have a good weekend, guys.